If you don't fix this now, your life will only worsen. Most teens feel stuck knowing change is needed but unsure where to start. I've been there. And here's the hard truth. No one is coming to save you. If you don't take control, bad habits and self-doubt will keep running your life. But here's the good news. You don't need it all figured out. You just need a system. In this video, I'll show you 5 no BS steps to get your life together. By the end, you will know exactly what to do. Step 1 is the most challenging but rewarding part of the process, which most people miss entirely when trying to get their life together. You feel stuck, overwhelmed, and unsure where to even start. You know you need to change, but you keep waiting for the so-called perfect time to begin. And which, I hate to spoil this for you, it doesn't exist. What if you could take control today and start moving towards a life of purpose, discipline, and real progress? Stay tuned because I'll show you how to make that shift right now. Step 1, start before you are ready. I remember being stuck in a cycle of procrastination. I'll look at my goals and think about the things I wanted to change in my life. Whether it was getting better grades, working on my fitness, or being more productive. Still, I kept telling myself I'll start tomorrow, or I would make excuses like I need to be better organized first, or I need to be more motivated. But I wasn't taking action and it just felt like I was wasting time. What I really wanted was to stop feeling overwhelmed and guilty. I tried to wake up every day knowing exactly what I was working toward, to feel like I was making progress on the things that mattered. But it felt like every time I tried to start, I was missing something, some plan, some perfect condition that would make everything fall into place. But the reality, the perfect condition never came. I kept waiting for the right moment, thinking I'd finally get it together once I had more time or focus. But the truth is, I was waiting for a moment that would never happen, and I kept procrastinating even more. So one day, I decided enough was enough. I realized I would never get started if I kept waiting for perfection. So I decided to take the first step, no matter how small or imperfect it seemed. I just decided to do something, anything at all, that would break the cycle of inaction. And once I did, I felt an immediate shift. The momentum from that first step gave me the energy to keep going, and it finally felt like I was actually moving forward and making progress. Then after I took that first step, things started changing. It wasn't instant and it wasn't perfect, but I wasn't stuck anymore. I was finally making progress. I learned that the first step is always the hardest and the most powerful. That shift, just starting before I felt ready, finally got me out of the rut. Once you've taken that first step, you have to own it, no excuses. This leads us to step 2. Don't blame anyone or anything. When you take ownership of your situation, it completely shifts your ability to take action. Stop blaming your circumstances, other people, or anything external. Own your journey, because when you do, the power is in your hands to change everything. You've probably been in this place before, feeling stuck, frustrated, and blaming everyone but yourself. Maybe you tell yourself, if only I had more time, or if my situation were different, I could make progress. I've been there too. While juggling school, work, and personal goals, I waited for the perfect moment. I would think if I had more freedom, I could get started. I blamed everything, the busyness of my schedule, my friends not understanding, or even the lack of resources. But the sad truth was, I wasn't taking ownership. I was letting my circumstances control my actions. I was giving away my power by waiting for everything to be perfect. And in doing so, I wasn't moving forward. Now, imagine a different reality. What if you could stop blaming others for your circumstances and take full ownership of your situation right now? I realized this was the key to change when I decided to stop making excuses. I stopped waiting for the perfect conditions and took ownership of my journey. That's when the power to create change was back in my hands. Everything shifted when I started focusing on what I could control: my actions, my decisions, and my mindset. It wasn't about waiting for a perfect time, it was about accepting where I was now and moving forward from that point. Suddenly, the excuses I had been using were gone and the momentum started to build. Now that you've taken responsibility, it's time to elevate yourself to the next level, which brings us to step 3, create your higher self. This is where you design the person you want to be. You're not stuck with the version of yourself you see now. But if you start today, you can start to shape that person you want to become. You've decided to move forward, but the truth is, you are not the person who can sustain the change you are aiming for. You might feel stuck between who you are now and who you want to become. That was me too. I remember feeling frustrated that I had these big goals, but I wasn't showing up as someone who could achieve them. I wanted to be disciplined, focused, and successful, but it felt like my current habits and mindset were nowhere near aligned with that vision. You want to become the type of person who wakes up with a sense of purpose, who is driven, confident, and consistently moves forward. I wanted to be someone who made decisions that align with my long-term goals and who was able to trust myself to follow through on promises I made, not just to others, but to myself. My version of me at that time just wasn't cutting it. I was still stuck in old habits that weren't serving me. Procrastination, self-doubt, and avoiding uncomfortable work that I knew would get me closer to my goals. I kept thinking I want success, but I keep letting my past self make the decisions. This version of me isn't ready yet. Sound familiar? That internal conflict, knowing you want to level up, but feeling like you are not yet that person, is the hardest part to deal with. So I realized the only way to change my life was to start changing who I was. I couldn't wait for the future to magically appear. I had to start with the person I am today. So I began taking small deliberate actions that aligned with who I wanted to become. Instead of waiting for motivation to strike, I designed a routine that made me feel disciplined even on my off days. I started making decisions based on the future me. Decisions that felt uncomfortable but were necessary for my growth. I remember waking up early one morning, even though I was exhausted from a long day the night before, and choosing to go to the gym instead of just scrolling on my phone. It was a small change, but a shift in mindset that slowly started stacking up over time. Then after a while, those small shifts started adding up, and one day I looked at myself and thought, I've changed. I was waking up with more focus, making decisions aligned with my higher self, and realizing that I had already started becoming the person I wanted to be. It wasn't a sudden transformation, but the more I took ownership of my actions, the more I began to trust myself. Now I don't need to wait for the perfect time to act. I'm becoming the person who acts right now with purpose and discipline. The version of myself I once thought I could never reach is now becoming my reality. Once you've upgraded your mindset, you must solidify your new life with supporting actions. That's why the next step is crucial. Step 4, replace negative habits with positive habits. Discipline isn't just about being rigid. It's about consistently choosing positive habits over negative ones. The more you replace bad habits, the more you can start creating real progress in your life. If you are still struggling with bad habits, maybe you are procrastinating, getting distracted easily, or not caring for your body. You know what you should be doing, but those old habits keep pulling you back. I get it. For a long time, I had this cycle of making progress for a few days and then falling back into my old routines. Wasting hours scrolling through social media, eating junk food, when I knew I should be following my body right, and procrastinating on the important stuff. Each time I fell off track, it felt like I was taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Instead, your habits align with your goals and every small action moves you closer to success. I remember a turning point for me. I had been stuck in a routine of staying up late watching TikTok or IG Reels, causing me to feel drained in the morning. One day, I decided enough was enough. Instead of reaching for my phone or watching a show when I got home, I decided to plan my activities, clothes, and everything I needed for the next day. At first, it was hard to break the cycle, but over time, I realized how much more productive and energized I felt just after changing that simple habit. By replacing a bad habit with something more purposeful, I was able to create momentum. Those daily small shifts, going to the gym and planning the next day instead of watching TV, added up in ways I hadn't expected. After I see my mindset shift, I felt more focused, disciplined, and less trapped by my bad habits. After building these habits, you must set yourself up for long-term success. There is one key element to doing that, which leads us to step 5. Set up your environment for success. Your environment influences your behavior more than you think. To thrive, you must surround yourself with people and things that align with your goals. You've been putting in the work, but you realize something. Your environment isn't set up to help you succeed. Maybe you're working in a cluttered space surrounded by distractions or people who don't even understand your goals and priorities. I've been there myself. There was a time when I'll be working late at night in a messy room with a pile of laundry in the corner, music playing in the background, and notifications constantly just going off on my phone. The environment didn't set me up for success and it was easy to get sidetracked. I also realized that some people I spent time with didn't support my journey. They weren't necessarily harmful, but they didn't just push me to grow however I needed. Basically, it was hard to stay focused when my environment didn't align with my ambitions. Imagine waking up daily in an environment that makes you feel focused and empowered. Everything around you supports your journey to success, and they are also surrounded by people that cheer you on to be the best version of yourself. I remember when I decided to really make this shift. I started by decluttering my workspace. I got rid of distractions and organized everything, so I walked into a space that supported my goals, not hindered them. I also started surrounding myself with people on similar paths, friends who understood the importance of discipline, growth and striving for better. The change was immediate. My productivity went through the roof because I was no longer fighting my environment. I didn't have to keep battling distractions and wasn't weighed down by negativity. Everything I saw, touched, and heard had a purpose. It was as if the environment was working with me, not against me. Because if you think about it, the only way to make good decisions is to make only good choices available. And if you made it this far, I've got something extra to boost your growth. It's a step that most people overlook but will separate you from everyone else, which is to become a deep learner. You might rely on surface level knowledge or the same old content you've been consuming. I know I did it for a long time. I used to watch videos, read books, and listen to podcasts, but I wasn't really absorbing the information. I knew a lot, but when it came time to apply that knowledge, I wasn't seeing the results I expected. I would skim through topics quickly, thinking I had the basics down, but then wonder why I wasn't making the progress I wanted. Imagine diving deep into everything you're learning. Instead of skimming the surface, you become a deep learner who takes the time to truly understand the material and how to apply it. I started going beyond the surface level advice and focus on mastering a specific area of my life. I will spend hours researching and practicing new strategies, not just watching the same content repeatedly. I'll be honest, at first it felt slow, but as I dove deeper, I realized the power of truly understanding and putting concepts into practice. I wasn't just taking in information anymore, I was becoming skilled in areas that moved the needle. My ability to problem solve and take meaningful action skyrocketed. The more I learned and applied, the faster I moved towards success. The real difference came when I shifted from being knowledgeable to being deeply skilled and constantly growing. Suppose you are serious about getting your life together and breaking through that stuck feeling. In that case, you need to check out my video on how to build discipline so fast it feels illegal. I'm sharing the steps to create lasting discipline so you can stop falling behind and start making real progress. Remember, the path is yours to walk, and as always, I'm in your corner rooting for you.